And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously...
Everyone was aware that Caitlin Clark would transform the WNBA, but no one anticipated the criticism to become so severe so quickly. It was meant to be a victory lap for women's basketball when she signed that unprecedented $28 million contract with Nike. After decades of hardship, it was meant to be the point at which the league finally gained popularity. However, that signature on the dotted line made her a huge target. After her most recent commercial went viral, the situation moved from tense to completely explosive. And now things are nearing a breaking point. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and other league executives appear to have had enough of the Caitlin show. The league office's quiet and a few well-considered remarks imply that the current message is more of a warning than a welcome. You need to consider the emotional and financial background of the league she entered in order to fully comprehend why this particular Nike advertisement triggered such a breakdown. For almost 30 years, the WNBA has been hard at work. Legends of the game, ladies who are perhaps the finest in the world at what they do, have had to play abroad in China, Turkey, and Russia in order to make ends meet. Because the WNBA pay were insufficient for them to retire on, they have ruined their bodies playing year-round basketball. The league's maximum pay is approximately $250,000. Then, without playing a single professional minute, a rookie from Iowa appears out of nowhere and lands a $28 million endorsement deal. That is transformative. While the veterans are still fighting for charter flights, a rookie receives generational wealth. The imagery was unmistakable when Nike released the commercial with Clark. It portrayed her as the rescuer rather than just a novice. Her practice routine wasn't the only aspect of the "this is what it takes" theme. It was presented as though she was the only one on the earth putting in that much effort. Her ability to fill stadia and her distance shooting skills were highlighted in the excellent marketing. However, it was understood rather differently within the league. Before she had even earned her stripes in the professional ranks, critics and other athletes perceived it as Nike crowning a queen. It was more than an advertisement. It was an admission that the league had undergone a sudden transformation. And those who had been leading the charge for the past 10 years didn't like that it was erasure-like. Before Caitlin Clark arrived, Nike seemed to be arguing that the WNBA didn't matter. And the locker room uprising that we are witnessing unfold in real time was sparked by that sentiment, that feeling of being ignored in your own home. However, the advertisement was merely the spark that ignited a fuse that had been building for months. The top ranks of the sport were firing warning shots even prior to the draft. During the Final Four, one of the best of all time, Diana Taurasi, appeared on national television and made a dire prediction. "Reality is coming," she declared. In retrospect, that sounds almost like a threat, but at the time it was dismissed as a veteran being honest. It gave the impression that the league would not be throwing a lavish party. They intended to construct a wall. And when Clark got there, that wall was composed of double teams, hard fouls, and a degree of aggressiveness that is uncommon for rookies. The storyline abruptly changed from "Welcome to the league" to "You haven't proven anything yet." It felt more than just a spirit of competition. The atmosphere changed from one of mentoring to one of isolation, and the virality of that Nike commercial only served to widen the gap. All of the players Clark faced suddenly had more motivations than just winning. They were attempting to demonstrate that the $28 million girl wasn't untouchable while playing for their own brand. Picking her up full court, hip-checking her, and making her life miserable became a badge of honor. This is the point at which the WNBA front office utterly failed. The league typically intervenes to safeguard a golden goose, a player who is selling out arenas and boosting attendance figures on their own. For Jordan, the NBA did it. For LeBron, they did it. However, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert created her own PR disaster. She made a startling comparison that effectively put petrol on the fire rather than completely defending her new superstar against the growing toxicity. In a widely reported interview on CNBC, Engelbert did not denounce the hate when asked about the dark, poisonous clouds that were building around the Caitlin Clark discourse, particularly the racial baiting and the animosity between fan bases. In the sand, she did not draw a line. Rather, she likened the conflict between Clark and Angel Reese to the storied rivalry between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. She grinned and discussed how rivalries boost viewership and are beneficial to business. You can see what she was attempting to convey on the surface. The NBA was saved by Magic and Bird in the 1980s, but this situation is very different. Magic and Bird were not handling racism, doxing on social media, or threats to their safety in the same manner. The commissioner effectively told the world that the WNBA is fine with the toxicity as long as the checks pass by dismissing the very real harassment as merely good business.
It was a huge mistake.
Instead of defending the players, it seemed as though she was encouraging the animosity. It was a subliminal hint that the league values drama and viewership over lowering the temperature. There was more to that interview than merely a verbal blunder. It seemed like a deliberate move. The commissioner effectively issued a warning to Clark's team by failing to stop the hostile narratives. You are not greater than the WNBA Shield. Rather, you are a member of a collective. We will sell tickets under your name, but we won't intervene if things become too heated. Angelbert's remarks immediately caused a response. In fact, Terry Jackson's WNBA Players Association was forced to issue a statement denouncing the commissioner's lack of leadership.
Consider how absurd that is.
The commissioner refused to do it herself, so the players' union had to intervene and say, "No, racism and toxicity are not marketing strategies." Under the appearance of policy, this is a warning. The league has started making statements denouncing toxic talk in an attempt to control fan behavior. However, the timing seems dubious. The establishment seems to be attempting to dehumanize the new guard. They don't want the individual power that comes with Clark's Nike-backed brand, but they do want the ratings she provides. They are attempting to balance making money off of her celebrity with letting the reality check story undermine her at the same time. The warning did not remain on CNBC or in the boardrooms. It was a straight translation of the hardwood. Everyone has witnessed the clips, hip checks, harsh fouls, and physical play that goes much beyond standard defense. Naturally, the Kennedy-Carter encounter was the most notorious event.
Not even the ball was in play.
Carter surprised Clark by hip-checking her while she was ready for an incoming pass, sending her falling to the ground. It was a straightforward non-basket play. After calling her a B-word, Carter bolted across the court. However, see the response. At that moment, the referees failed to call a flagrant foul. They referred to it as a common foul. The league took a day to raise the infraction to a flagrant one after video had been viewed millions of times and public outcry compelled them to act. Every player in the league receives a clear message from this reluctance to punish the violence. The season is open. It reaffirms that Clark must pay her dues the hard way and that the league will not raise the alarm each time she hits the deck. LeBron James or Stephen Curry would have been suspended right away if that had occurred. For Clark, it was just another moment of being welcomed to the WNBA. The Angel Reese factor is another. Without discussing the Chicago Sky rookie who has positioned herself as the anti-hero in this tale, it is impossible to discuss the warning given to Caitlin Clark. Although Reese is an excellent player and a fantastic rebounder, the media narrative has placed them against one another since college. The league adores this. Although it puts the participants in danger, they adore the good girl versus evil girl frame because it sells. There was an atmosphere where the basketball took a backseat to the beef when Reese was penalized for refusing to speak to the media and was later spotted celebrating on the sidelines while her teammate pummeling Clark. This dynamic was confirmed by the commissioner's comment about Magic versus Birds. It made it clear to Reese and all the other players that the league wanted this confrontation. Hard fouls are encouraged since they result in viral videos, which in turn generate ticket sales. The bait is Clark. It's a clear warning. We won't make it easy, but if you make it through the gauntlet, we might respect you. However, this is a more significant power fight, one that costs billions of dollars. Nike and the WNBA are playing each other.